Hello everyone, Salam Sejadra Da Salamat Datang Semwa. A very good afternoon to all of you. I am Priyanshi, welcoming you all again on behalf of Solar Quarter and First Year Group to the first day of Malaysia Solar Week 2021. Hope you had a good time in networking with your peers today, and if not, you are missing the opportunity. But no worries, we will be having networking after the sessions till 6 p.m. But now it's time to start with our conference. But before that, I take the opportunity to thank our partners for extending their immense support to organize this event. So, starting with our presenting partner, SMA Solar, Platinum partners, Goodwe and Sealant Terre Energy, industry partner, Esgar Energy. Now, let me quickly take you through the agenda for today. We will be having two sessions today, which will be focused on the utility solar sector. The sessions would be on solar market outlook, policies, regulatory framework, tenders and finance, and the big tech trends shaping large-scale solar. We will be playing our sponsor video of SMA and our presenting partner, along with that Goodwe and Sealant Terre, our platinum partners.
他要讲话会帮我对吧？
Thank you so much, team, for playing the sponsor videos. And now, without any delay, let's begin with our first session. And the session will be starting with a sponsor presentation by Mr. Yogesh Sharma from SMA Solar. Over to you, sir. Yogesh, sir, you can share your screen now.
Yes, I'm doing that. Sorry. Hello, everyone. My name is Yogesh Sharma. I am sales manager for Southeast Asia with SMA, and welcome to my presentation. I'll be a bit fast because looking the time span, but you can send me questions later if you have any on this presentation or anything else on SMA. So basically, nowadays, energy is becoming more sustainable, independent, and decentralized. So that is a change the way we use energy. What it means is earlier we used to have if you see why it is happening, solar power is becoming more cost effective, and you see this graph by 2030. Even now today solar power is quite cheaper in comparison to 10 years ago or 5 years ago, and it's consistently going down in the prices. And there will be a time 230, or this is approximate year, that when it will be cheaper than coal, gas, or whatever fossil fuels. And that is why the annual growth of PV installations, despite of countries come up with FIT schemes, but then they change FIT schemes. No country can afford to give FIT forever, but still you see the PV installations are increasing consistently worldwide. And by 2030, our expectation is it can be 350 gigawatt per annum. Now, if you see storage is a thing of like name of the game now. And storage, because it can control compensate for the fluctuations in the grid. And the countries which are quite high in solar installations, now solar is the next thing which have started in Europe, US, Australia, and even in Malaysia is just at a beginning stage, but yes, that is going to happen in future. And you see, currently the solar storage systems are quite low, but going forward, they will increase quite a lot, maybe 2.5 or even 3,000 gigawatt per hour. Now, with increasing, what it means is that there will be a decentralization of electricity supply system, which will be more complex because currently the power is generated through the grid, everyone consumes, and solar or wind power is just a compensatory or little bit, very less percentage. But tomorrow in the future, power will be generated mainly through PV, wind, and grid, etc. And it will be stored, grid, etc., in the batteries and consumed in the night time. And grid only will be the compensatory to compensate whatever is the shortfall. So that is a big change. And what it means is that these all things have to be seamlessly controlled to have a reliable power supply. And which means that the system should be solid, the energy management system should be great, otherwise this is not going to work. So basically energy is changing consistently. Now SMA, this is just a little bit one slide about SMA. We have supplied more than 100 gigawatt of solar inverter throughout the world. We have more than 3 gigawatt of SMA battery power, inverter power, and like we are one of the most innovative, progressive company in solar field for last 40 years, and we have more than 1,600 patents. in different fields. And approximately we have 3,500 employees. Our turnover is varies between 1.2, 1.3 to this year we are expecting 1.1 million, um, 1.1 billion euros. Now, in terms of the technology, SMA has always come up, and we are number one in bringing any inverter with new technology in the market, and others follow us. For example, we were the first one to develop transistor inverter for PV. In 2001, we came up with Sunny Island, which a lot of you may be knowing. It is an off-grid inverter, very, very successful, installed all over the world. Core 1 concept, which is the first freestanding string inverter, got an award in exhibition in Germany. That is one of its kind. And it saves the installation time. You can put on the roof, and there is no need to, assist with the wires or cables or screws. Similarly, in central inverter, we have various things. We have storage, Sunny Central Up, which can give you 50% more power density, and that is our latest inverter, but a couple of years, 3 years old. So, and now we have the latest to control power plant manager. Now, we do in-house things, but we also have a fantastic collaborations throughout the world with very strong partners like Danfoss. We have a partnership with Audi, and that is for e-mobility. As we all know, that e-mobility is becoming a name of the game for the future. Electric cars are going to increase, and a lot of countries have bought the regulation that they have to stop diesel or petrol cars by such and such year. And and we have collaboration with Millet, which for energy management and testing and stuff, and similarly with Coniva, which is a subsidiary of SMA for energy management. Now, we do stringent testing for our inverters, and those who have visited our Germany plant and they have visited our labs, they are very, very sophisticated, and they come out very amazed. And we not only test the full inverter in the end, but we also test uh, each and every stage of the components, and whatever the stage inverter is in production. And once we found any defective thing, even in the production stage, we reject it. We don't wait till inverter is produced and then do testing. Our inverters are installed either in Gulf area where the temperatures are very high, or we all know in Europe where in some areas there's a lot of snow, but the performance is not affected by these. Our company is one of the most sustainable companies. We not only sell sustainable products, but we believe in it. In 2019, if you see this number, we saved 10.5 billion euros in terms of environmental damage. Currently, if we compare our production, 58% less energy is used per kilowatt of inverter what we used to use 4 years ago. And we have our solar PV plants on our buildings in Germany, because we have various buildings. It's not only one or two buildings. It's like a suburb. It's like a locality. And we also send the surveys to customers from time to time and seek their feedback, which is satisfaction survey. And we are very transparent because we are a listed company. So, I mean, we don't have to hide anything. So with our solutions, people around the world can make use of energy independently as they are becoming independent in energy and decentralized systems. So what we have, right from energy monitoring to generation of solar power, storage, we have full energy management, and also energy market integration, which is a new concept, but it is catching up very fast in some countries. Companies obviously want to save energy cost over over a long time. That's why self-consumption concept is catching up, whether it is Malaysia or Philippines or Europe or any other country. Now, we can save energy bills by almost 70%. How? Yeah, SMA, solar, obviously we generate power, we can store solar power, we can manage energy and also sell on the spot your energy, which is the system I mentioned previously is catching up worldwide. For utility owners and project developers, obviously they want future proof investments because they are long term investments, and they want bankability of the inverters because the plant is going to run for at least 25 years or 30 years. So they want to have a system which is not running for 5 years and then you have to replace a lot of things, but you want for 20-25 years without any issues. With our large scale and project solution, we help them to optimize their business and business models. So after generating solar power, store solar power and optimize yield, we have a 360-degree support. We can also include the grid studies for optimal grid integration, etc., and which will protect your yields, and we can also give you the performance guarantees. Now, obviously, we support our customers with a lot of our detailed services and digital solutions. Now, what it means is that we can help customers in repowering. When the plants are getting old, we can replace the old inverters with our new inverters, irrespective whatever brand of inverters you have in your plant, which is catching up, and we are doing a lot of repowering systems all over the world. And engineering services, as I mentioned, we can provide engineering services, grid support, and also full 24 hours monitoring of your plants. When the any event, we don't wait for the event, but we will check the plants where it can go wrong, and there will be a signal we can inform to the operators. With our smart connected inverters, we can, even for residential and commercial systems, we can monitor them for free of cost. Extended warranty is, one of the things which we offer, and that's all in this short time. Thanks for your patience, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to send me or any of my colleagues an email, or in the chat rooms, and we'll answer them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for the insightful presentation. Now we are having another sponsor presentation by Spencer ma'am from Goodwe. So welcoming you on screen, ma'am. You can share your screen. Spencer ma'am, do you need any kind of assistance? Please let me know. Okay,
That's all
great.
right.
We can see your PPT. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Spencer, Solution Engineer from Goodway Solar Academy. I'm now supporting Australia and Southeast Asia for the PV system solutions. Today, I'm glad to introduce you Goodway's commercial and industrial solution and some applications in Southeast Asia. So today's sharing will be carried out from the following four aspects. First of all, let me give you an overview of Goodway, about who we are and what we do. Goodway is a global leading inverter manufacturer, but we are actually more than that. Our vision is to create a new era of smart energy, and to achieve this goal, we've installed over 2 million units of inverters and helped save over 26 million tons of carbon dioxide. Goodway starts our smart energy journey since 2010. In the past 10 years, we've developed in a dramatic speed and become a famous brand trusted by customers. And we were listed on Shanghai Stock Exchange last year, and our business is keep expanding and growing. From this map, we can see our branches, sales, and service centers all over the world so that all our clients can be served in time. We also have two research and development centers and two factories to ensure the product innovation as well as the product and production and delivery. And our global sales revenue breaks through 200 million USD last year. As a well-known inverter manufacturer, GoodWe has won many awards recognized in the PV industry. For example, GoodWe is the only solar inverter manufacturer to win the TUV Rainline All Quality Matters Award for 6 consecutive years. And we were also awarded as world's #1 hybrid storage inverter supplier in 2019. Next, let's look at some typical commercial and industrial system solutions and application of GoodWe commercial products. Uh, this system is actually specialized for the commercial rooftops. And in this system, the generated solar power will be consumed by loads first, and then the rest power will be fed into the grid. So in commercial and industrial scenarios, normally we will have multiple inverters. So we can use SEC 1000, which is a communication box for load consumption monitoring and export the power limit. GoodWe also offers free online monitoring platform. Here we can see it's called the SIMS portal. It is short for the Smart Energy Management System. It's a smart tool that helps our customers to monitoring their power plants in a visualized way and help the maintenance. And we also offer system solutions for the low voltage grid systems, for example, in Latin America and Southeast Asia. In large commercial projects, we also offer products and system solutions for the high voltage scenario. In the high voltage system, the inverter output will be connected to the transformer first and then connected to the high voltage distributed network. For the communication methods, we can choose the power line communication to save the cable investment. Here are our main products for the commercial and industrial applications, from 25 kilowatt to 136 kilowatt. Here we can see we have the SMT series that have 3 MPPTs, works from 25 to 36 kilowatt, and MT series that offers both the low voltage and high voltage models with 4 MPPTs from 50 to 80 kilowatt. We also have the HT series, works from 37 to 136 kilowatt. GoodWe commercial and industrial products are featured with like full operations at 50 degree and up to 150 DC oversizing, and also supports 115 AC overloading. And customers can also freely choose the integrated arc fault circuit interpreter and power line communication as an optional choice. And we also have an ultimate high power inverter, which is our HT 1500 volt series. It is specially designed for the large commercial and industrial application and also the large utility projects. So this model is fully compatible with the mainstream high power modules, such as 182 millimeter and 210 millimeter PV modules. And we will discuss this later. So our HT 1500 volt series also offers second generation power line communication, as well as the smart IV curve diagnosis and the SVG functions. Here is our KN model, which is a special model for HT series. So KN is special specifically designed for the 210mm PV modules. And the main difference is that the KN series has 6 MPPTs, and each MPPT will have the 3 strings. So each string can actually support maximum 20 ampere input current so that it can fit in the large current range of the PV modules. Now let's look at in details how good we inverters to be compatible with the high current and bifacial modules. As we know, there's an evolution of PV modules with larger solar cell size and higher power level, which will bring challenges for the whole PV industry. And for our inverter manufacturers, we need to increase the maximum input current and also the maximum short circuit current to be compatible with the high power PV modules. As far as we can see here, the 182mm wafer has been widely used in the utility scale power plants and also some commercial rooftops. Our inverter here, we can see the SMT and HT series could be fully adapted to 182mm modules. We can see that the 182mm manufacturers has the short circuit current about 13 to 14 ampere. And we found that even the one like Jinko that has the largest short circuit current of like 14.9 ampere is below 15 ampere, which is that what our inverter can support. That's maximum 15 ampere input current per string. And it has already been a mainstream combination for 182 modules and HT inverters. So we are fully adapted to the 182mm PV modules. And in commercial and industrial application, our solution to be compatible with 210mm module is to connect one string for each MPPT so that we can have a maximum input current of 30 ampere. Here, let's take Trina Vertex 600 volt and Goodwill 120 kilowatt HT as an example. The short circuit current of Trina Vertex is 18.52 ampere, and the open circuit current voltage is 41.5 volt at STC. And after some calculations, we can find that we will have 22 PV modules per string, and 12 strings are connected. And here we found that we can still have 132% DC oversizing. While for the utility projects, as mentioned before, we have the special version of KNHT series. So the string current of KNHT is 20 ampere and with a 3-string design. Some clients may have concern if they need an external fuse to prevent the 2-string current backfeeded to 1 string. Well, the KN actually still use the no-fuse design to solve this problem. So it is equipped with an intelligent DC switch, which can automatically trip the DC switch when overcurrent failure happens. So this DC switch can receive the trip signal from the inverter DSP to shut down the DC circuit when the emergency is happening. So we can say that our new model is perfectly matched the 210mm PV modules. Next, let's have a look at the product features of Goodwill commercial and industrial products. Goodwill inverters can adapt to multiple environments. For example, for the multiple angle rooftops, we have 12 MPPTs, so it is very flexible for the system design. And Goodwill inverters also features for the full load operation at high temperature. So we can adapt to the coastal areas because HT series is also certified with the C5 protection level. And for the lightning prone area, we also have integrated type 1 SPD on the DC side to be chosen. As we've mentioned before, GoodWe inverter has a good heat dissipation performance because we have very reasonable heat dissipation paths, and it is integrated with 6 powerful NMP fans. So as this graph shows that we can actually keep full load operations until 45 degrees. As we know, there's a hazard called arc failure that could result in fire accidents. GoodWe Commercial Products has an optional choice of arc failure protection with the AFCI 2.0 level protection that can be compliant with the UL and IEC standards. This is the Smart IV Curve Diagnosis. It's a useful tool for the operation and maintenance for the large commercial and industrial and also the utility projects. It can support up to 20 aero types and can save the detection time down to the minutes level. So it is more efficient both in time and cost. And actually, here is our PID functions. The PID, it is called the PID recovery functions for GoodWe. In the evening, so the anti-PID function will be automatically activated, and the inverter will add a reverse 600 voltage between the module's negative and the PE to repair the PID problems happen during daytime, so that we can have more yielding for the PV modules. And GoodWe commercial products also can support the wide branch connections so that we can help to reduce the DC cable investment and also can support for the high power PV modules. And we also offer flexible configuration methods. We can either choose the LCD screen or using the SolarGo app via Bluetooth or Wi-Fi to finish the inverter configuration. Well, now let's have a look at how GoodWe inverters ensures reliability and safety. So to ensure our product has long life cycle, we have diverse tests both internally and externally. So such as the IP protection test is conducted by the TUV, and in our factory, we also have very strict quality management procedure. Here are some pictures from our production line. As you can see, so the pictures, the GoodWe have very strict control and production line. We have the self-developed ATS test to make sure our inverter is 100% ready before shipment. And we also will conduct an aging test to ensure that our inverters are reliable in the extreme hot weather conditions.
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt. I'll just request you to speed up a little since we are running a little late.
Sure.
Thank you.
And here we are having some case reference to share. So this is our 10 megawatt project here in India. We use our MP series. This is our project to cooperate with the 88 Power Solar in India using our MT 60 kilowatt series. We also cooperate with some famous brand companies like Bosch and Siemens. We've also done a 1 million megawatt project in the Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. Here we use our HT series. We've done a 7 megawatt project in Vietnam. All right, thank you all for your listening. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me or my colleague.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for this insightful presentation and setting up the tone for today's event. So, before proceeding ahead with the panel discussion, I would like to see how many audiences are present with me. So, can you all show the thumbs up and show a little bit excitement for the same? Okay, now I am sure the audience is as excited as me. So, without any further ado, let's start with our first panel discussion, which is on solar market outlook, policies, regulatory framework, tenders, and finance. And to discuss this, we have in the panel Mr. Hassan Suyed from Impen Burmia, Mr. Boonahin Gan from Leader Energy, Mr. Thang Shang, Mr. Thang Shi Keon from Plus Exergy Services, Mr. Siu Chun from Goodby, Mr. Chorjak from Christopher and Leon, Mr. Faiz Abdul Razak from Wong and Partners, and Mr. K. Kong from Marco Engineering. And he's also the session chair for the day. Now, I welcome all the panelists on the screen. And before handing it over to Tom, sir, I would like to give a short brief about him. Mr. Ki Kong is the scholar holding a postgraduate master in engineering from the prestigious University of Tokyo, Japan. Prior returning to Malaysia, he worked in Japan, UK, Finland doing consultancy in emerging technology and renewable energy. Covering the Asia Pacific region, Mr. Kong is currently the managing director of Marco Solar Malaysia. He is a Sustainable Energy Development Authority certified grid connected photovoltaic GCPV designer. So, with this, handing it over to Kong, sir, the stage is all yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Prishashi. Is my voice okay?
Yes, sir, it's perfect. You can take it ahead.
Okay.
Yes, Kong, we can hear you well.
Yeah. Without further ado, I welcome all the panelists. Thank you for sparing your time to participate in this panel discussion. Very exciting topic and challenging topics for Malaysia at the moment. And yeah, so we only have about 30 minutes. Have some delays. I would like to invite the panelists to scope your. I believe you have many things to share. Probably scope it within less than 5 minutes of your sharing, and we will wrap up. Very short take home for the audience about 30 seconds, kind of round robin mechanism. So we have a good mix of panelists here. Mr. Gan and Mr. Hassan are developer. So Mr. Gan has been working in power industry in Asia for more than 30 years, and Mr. Hassan and Mr. Gan owned quite a few of a solar farm. Definitely later he will be more than willing to share some experience on that. Thank you. Number two panelist is Injek Hassan. Now he's a very famous because he got 100 megawatts of merchant projects. Congratulations for your SS3 projects, and he's also the developer in EPCC. So the third panelist is Mr. Tang, the CEO of Plus Energy Services. So he have vast experience in building and developing platforms. Then Mr. Ng, who is the sales manager for a very good brand, Goodby inverters that are used in solar farm and also rooftop. Welcome. And our last two audience are from the legal and finance background, which is Mr. Jack, okay, from Christopher and Leong, They have done a lot of advisory and projects and financing for developers and solar farm projects. Last but not least, from Wong and Partners, Inchet Faiz. So, dear audience, at least you know the background of them, so that later in Q&A you can ask the relevant questions to the right panelists. Okay. So, first, there are like 10 questions in our flyers. So, probably I will group them to ask some questions to the panelists. So, uh, Faiz, so how do you see this the current trend of the utilities scale market, the installation and the potential size? In view of our prime ministers have just announced for the overseas audience from India, I see India's, from I think Australia, all over the world, interested in our Malaysia market. Our prime minister has recently announced set a target to be carbon neutral by year 2050. So, Faiz, what's your opinion on that?
Thank you, Kong, for that. Um, it is actually a very good question, and if you were to ask me maybe 2 years ago, I would say we are on the right track to making solar development open to foreign investors, especially on a utility or large scale. However, as everyone here, most people here would be aware, the last LSS4 tender was only open to local companies. So in terms of local utility scale solar projects, it doesn't look very, I would say, optimistic for foreign investors. But that being said, there are plenty of other opportunities that are available, not just for foreign investors or developers, but also local developers. The first being the cross-border sale of electricity into both Singapore and Thailand. Unfortunately, the government also restricted the use of renewable energy for exportation of electricity into Singapore, but it still remains a possibility for renewable energy to be exported to Thailand. We are still, I would say, a few years away from a proper project, a proper local project being developed to export electricity into Thailand, but at least the framework is there. Local developers will probably need to tie up with a Thai partner, given that they would be more familiar with the regulatory and also local framework for sale of electricity.
I see.
And the other thing that I wanted to also mention is I think everyone is looking forward to the third-party access for the national grid. That obviously opens up the potential for large-scale utilities for all developers because you then don't have to rely on TNB or a utility purchasing electricity. You can build, for example, a 50 megawatt or 100 megawatt solar plant in Kedah, for example, and to supply to corporate customers down maybe in Johor or even Selangor. So that's something that I think everyone is looking forward to. It was supposed to happen sometime this year, but again with COVID and everything, probably that's being delayed. And I guess the question following from that is how much would TNB charge for utilizing that grid? So we have some benchmark from the cross-border oil export electricity to Singapore. TNB is charging, I think, 2 US cents per kilowatt hour. So that's hopefully will be lower for local consumption, but time will tell.
Okay, thank you so much, Faiz, for your sharing. So, to the overseas players, Malaysia market is still pretty controlled and closed. So, but as the industrial players, we actually would like the government to open up more so that become the whole market and the will be more competitive. I guess my next question will be addressing to Mr. Gan and Encik Hassan. more on from the developer perspective. Probably can start with Mr. Gan first, as he's one of the pioneer that have secured many solar farm projects under his leadership. What do you think about this development of solar farm? Now is LSS 4, and when is LSS 5 coming? Do you think? And what do we wish for from a developer perspective from the government? Thank you.
Thank you, KK. As KK has said, there are a lot of opportunities left here in Malaysia. Malaysia has actually set a target of 31% of power generation by renewable energy by 2025, and this will be further increased to 40% by 2035. So if you really look into the magnitude of it, we are looking at more than 1,000 over megawatt of solar farm or renewable energy to be built in the next 4 years until 2025. And of course, going forward, there will be another 2,400, about 2,400 megawatt of renewable energy to be added into the system. So what we have to look into is, of course, definitely everybody is looking forward to the LSS 5, expecting that to be coming anytime now. But as Cik Faiz has said just now, I think more developers are more excited if there's this third-party access, corporate PPA is allowed in Malaysia, and that open up a little bit opportunities for other developers, or for not just selling power to TNB, but of course we need to get how much TNB going to charge for the transmission, as what Encik Faiz has just mentioned just now. I tend to compare because I'm also not just working in Malaysia. I'm also active in the whole Southeast Asia region and Taiwan. Malaysia, I must say, is one of the most structured in terms of access to the grid, and Malaysia has one of the very strong transmission grid, which is an advantage for Malaysia. So having said that, there are more opportunities that is coming forward, and this is, as a developer, we are definitely looking forward. There are more projects coming online.
Thank you. Thank you. So, yeah, Mr. Gan is a regional players, and as he mentioned, Malaysia is, in short, is slow and steady, and we are very capable, and our infrastructure is actually very solid, relatively compared with Vietnam that grow very fast, but there are a lot of curtailment happening, which we would not like to see in Malaysia. Encik Hassan,
Yes.
how do you feel? You are one of the biggest player now, 100 mega.
Thank you. Thank you.
Share your experience and some notes to us.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman Kong, for becoming our moderator. As a developer, I'm gonna talk about both the LSS and also the rooftop, because both sides are equally important. I'm just going to touch a bit on the LSS. From our experience in bidding from LSS 2, 3, 4, I hope the Energy Commission would, for the upcoming LSS, limit per install to 10 megawatt. This is the reason being, it's quite hard to look for 400-acre land in one place, and then also the injection point into our grid. So if you have that policy, probably more developers will come in, and then it is much easier to locate an injection point of 10 megawatt as compared to 100 megawatt or so. Of course, having a 100 megawatt in one block is nice to have, but there are not that many. So if you have that sort of guideline and policy, I think more players, more developers will come in, and the growth of the solar industry will be much faster. So that's on the LSS side. On the rooftop, I've had experience also working overseas on the policy. Number one, I would like to have, for example, the local authority, the state government, and also the federal government to give incentive to people who engage into RE. Starting from the local authority, I know some of our local authority, I can mention here, for example, Majlis Perbandaran PJ, if you do a green initiative project at your house, so you can be exempted with some assessment tax or with rent. So the same can also be offered by the state government and also the federal government. Um, those homeowner that install solar on their rooftop should be given some kind of tax break.
Very good.
We have had many tax actually break allocation to some other, for example, like owning computers and so on. We can add just one more. I don't think that it's not a big deal to do, but if it's being done holistically, I think more homeowners would adopt into a
Thank
solar
you.
projects.
So please continue to help to push, all these policymakers, San, so that the public and we are doing our parts, to help the nation to go towards carbon neutral. Okay, thank you, thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
So then, after developers, I like to invite very experienced EPCC players, which is from Plus Energy, Mr. Tang. What is your view on the projects now in terms of the coming any tenders or what are the expectations? How challenging is it to manage the developers? From the EPC perspective. Uh,
Thanks, Mr. Kong. Right, from EPC perspective and also as a developer as well, what we are seeing here, right, if we understand on the LSS, how the trend on LSS, from LSS 1 to LSS 4 now, the developer having the tariff, right, from a good tariff to the LSS 4, we see the most lowest tariff in the history of Malaysia, which is 13 cents that people have bidden. So in order to make the project to be financially feasible, from developer side, they need to do a lot of cost control, whereby it's the same thing also as a service provider. The same expectation, right, when we bid the project, the developer also expect us as a service provider to support them, right, to able to achieve the cost optimization in order for the project, for the developer able to meet a certain financial requirements. So those are the current challenges. I think add on to that with the reason material cost increase globally, especially the solar panel prices. That add on to the sort for the developer as well as to the service provider. Both parties have to work very hard to find the so-called the point in meeting the financial feasibility for the projects. That is the current challenges for the industry in Malaysia. Yeah.
okay, cool. Thank you so much for the insight. So we are as this developer and also EPC are squeezed from left bottom right up.
Yeah.
So Mr. Ng, so what is your view? Your side, the technology that will help to ease our EPCC challenges. Mr. Ng.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Kong. So basically, when we talk about the reduce the cost, we always look at LCOE. So module player has been coming out with all the high performance module up to 600 watt plus to reduce the LCOE. Of course, from the inverter side, we are also trying to follow the technology evolution of the the module, which is actually a very big challenge for us because everyone knows when the string current getting bigger and bigger, it means that the power per string per MPPT will be greater. So the challenges for the inverter manufacturer is actually on the thermal management. How can I make sure that my inverter can still perform at the optimal condition, even at 40 degrees Celsius, the average temperature of Malaysia. So good, we have managed to do that. We are compatible to as mentioned by my colleague earlier, we are compatible to 210 mm and as well as 182 mm, this high performance module. We have overcome the challenges, and I think that would be a great help in terms for our developers as well as EPCC.
Okay, thank you so much for your LCOE is the keyword, guys, everyone. So we are always pushing the limits. Let's do this together. So allow me to invite one of the most important, save the best for last, Jack. Jack, can you share the most important thing, which is the dollar and cents and also the legal portion of the framework, regulatory framework, and finance, of the whole projects. You see, so I personally myself, have involved in development of UITM 61 mega that I'm facing the banks, very challenging. I've been sitting with the legal advisor like you guys for weeks and months, going through line by line of all those jargon and wordings, So this is a very important part of the ecosystem of the projects. Can let's allow you to take the floor and share some important guidelines for the audience. Thank you.
Thanks, Kong. I mean, the developers here would have, more experience than I have. I think dealing with bankers, right? I mean, the thing with financing is that in the past, I mean, LSS1, LSS2, or even moving way back, right, to the feed-in tariff projects, those were easily financed, right? Because the nature of the project, the size of the project, right, those were not so difficult. But I think LSS1 was a very different kettle of fish when large-scale solar came about. It was the first time it was such a huge kind of project, in the market. So LSS1 and LSS2 had their own set of challenges, right? But I think things have sort of picked up since then, and market and the bankers are sort of now, there's ample demand in the market now to finance this sort of solar projects, right? Because there's some sort of familiarity to it. But I think the difficulty is that, and of course, right? I mean, this has also been helped by the recent, transition into the sustainability era, right? Everything is sustainable now, right? It's about sustainability, right? And so I think green projects may find it easier to obtain financing. But I think that several things several issues still remain. I mean, for financing, you mentioned 100. I mean, in Hassan is a 100 megawatt project, right? So LSS3 had huge projects. Financing a huge project is often very easy, right? Because everyone wants a piece of it, right? You can finance it via a loan, right, or project. I mean, or bond, right? Not an issue. But I think the difficulty would be that middle-sized sort of projects, right? Because I mean, firstly, middle-sized projects, it's more expensive, I suppose, if you want to raise funds via bond or sukuk. So you go to the banks, right? But banks typically want to find the best bang for the buck, right? They want to go for the bigger ones, right? Because smaller projects, I mean, the thing is, they are also tied up for many years. I mean, these sort of loans, right, can go on forever. I mean, bonds are issued 16 years, 17 years, right? Financing, maybe 10, and they allow you to refinance, right? I mean, the thing is with banks, there are many considerations that they have in mind, right? If they want to lend to you, right, if you're a smaller size project, they will then think, right, how many of these do I have to do? And there are also what you call sectorial limits, right? So, although a bank has so much money, there are limits as to how much it can lend in respect of certain sectors. So, for example, solar sector, they can only lend up to a certain amount for risk management, right? So, I think financing is not as difficult now, but I think all this come with different sets of risks and things that people sort of don't really think about. Because I think, especially during the bidding stage, right, every bank will be happy to write you a letter of recommendation, letter of support letter. Everyone will write you a letter with a throwaway line that this is subject to further due diligence, right? So everyone feels that, yes, I've got something in writing. I mean, of course, I think the Energy Commission has done quite well in recent tenders where they sort of want to see firmer sort of letters of support, right? But even then, I think a lot of the time when the project is awarded, developers suddenly find themselves, how do I really finance this project, right? Is it too expensive, right? And on that note, there are so many creative sort of financing avenues around. I mean, project bonds, sukuk, term loans, right? Contractor financing, even the more funky types of RPS and all that. But of course, there are different considerations there, lah, right? I think those are the challenges, lah. And in respect of Energy Commission themselves, I think they're always very optimistic, right? And not faulting them for that, but as we've seen, every time the letter of award or the letter of acceptance, when it comes out, they require you to achieve financial close at a very short time, right? I mean, it's not realistic, lah. I mean, they have to bear that in mind as well, lah, I think. Right? So hopefully that's something that they can take away and sort of go and refine the process, right? And just to make it easier, lah, for people to comply.
From the can I ask you one question, which is it by regulation or by commercial practice, is it possible to buy sell the solar farm, which is
yeah, good question. I mean, consolidation of the industry has begun, lah. I mean, we've read about news, right? Very public news, for example, right?
Yeah, we
right,
saw some public listed company claim that they're buying this and consolidating or acquiring this and that,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is possible I mean, everything is possible as long as you get the approvals, lah. But I think that is one thing which is not very clear, and I hope that the authorities also sort of give a little bit of clarity. I mean, I think it's too restrictive, right? Frankly speaking, right? It's too restrictive. I mean, why is there? I know the whole thing where they want to stop people flipping projects, but on the other hand, I mean, consolidation in the industry is also healthy, lah, right? As to your question, I mean, yes, if you get approvals, but typically for utility scale, you need to wait 5 years lah from COD, right?
I see.
Yeah.
And even after 5 years, it's subject to authority approval, right?
That's
Okay,
right.
okay. So, thank you, everyone. So, can I have everyone to give your last like one sentence of takeaway for the audience here? That what you either it can be what you wish for from the authorities, governments, policymakers, or what is your advice to whoever that is interested in this market, this segment. Up to you. It's a free for all. So probably start back with Faiz.
Thanks, Kong. So I guess if
like 30 seconds.
yeah, sure. Yeah, so I guess one thing would be to echo what Jack mentioned is greater, I guess, clarity and less restriction from the Energy Commission, and not just in terms of approvals for sale of projects, but also in terms of market participants. So, for example, for LSS5, it would be good if they reintroduce the 49% foreign equity limit. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. I hope the authority hear you somewhere. Yeah. Next, Mr. Gan.
Thank you, KK. First, I would like to thank the organizer for organizing this great event. One of the challenges for developers is always the land, and we find that different state will have a different requirement, and then maybe I would hope that maybe federal government and the state government can sit down together for this green energy roadmap to have a consistent and similar policy that facilitate and make a developer like us and life easier.
Yes,
apart from the financial challenges that Jack has brought up.
Exactly.
Thank you,
yeah, spot on. Thank you, Gan, for mentioning that. Yeah, the confusion of a different Perak and Penang or Kedah, all the policy is different, is it? Right. Yeah. How much that we want to factor in the conversion of agri or convert or not convert, all this confusion.
And it can be a huge amount. We are talking about few hundred millions sometimes.
Well, one of our customers, I don't want to mention name, so even we got all the approval, they can even reverse back.
Exactly, it happens to us. They come back after
you also. Yes. Marco, also a project developer and also a consultant. One of our clients are very happy, managed to skip through the conversion or hefty premium paying. Then after COD, then they slap us with a new bill. Amazing. So, okay. Well, thank you so much for that. Encik Hassan, how about you?
Yeah, just
What
want
to be careful,
to,
you know.
yeah, like LSS 5 should have been announced a few
Very
months
soon.
back.
Uh,
Also, on the rooftop side, the quota, we know the Nemnova just recently been opened. And I hope once this one is finished, the government should announce the new quota without waiting 6 or 7 months. That put the industry player in jittery situation.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's my take on it. I mean, I don't see the reason why they took quite a
Okay.
long time just to issue a quota.
Exactly. So we hope our governments, will be supportive on keeping the lifeline of the industries, our industry, to be more smooth and consistent. Consistent.
Yes, yes, yes.
Always got shocked, like that. Suddenly nothing, then come back again. That would be very challenging for us to operate our organization.
Exactly.
Spot on. Thank you for
Thank
reminding
you.
everyone here. Um, then Mr. Tang, how about you?
Yes. Yeah. I think I got a few points to share. The first thing, I agree on the point that the regulatory side, which will require a more mutual cooperation between the government, private sector, as well as with the developer, so that the process require streamlined, like everywhere are standardized. It's more easy, like as a EPC, because we also one of the scope responsible that we need to help the developer to apply for the necessary approval. That will smoothen the process, and also it's more easy to determine the timeline, because different states also they have a different so-called the approval process. The timeline also different. That also back into as a service provider. Very often we are also taking certain risks that we are not able to estimate the actual timeline. The second part I would say, because with the I will talk about the incentive as well. With the current incentive given available by the government, like
Oops.
I believe sir has some technical problem or connectivity issue. So, Mr.
Mr. Tang,
Sujit
right?
sir,
sorry,
okay,
I
sorry.
think my line got disconnected.
No
Yeah,
problem.
yeah.
No problem.
Hello.
Yeah. So, what
Yeah,
your last statement
yeah.
was?
Just I mentioned about the incentive. The incentive part, like on the GITA, GITE, which is due to expire. So I hope the government will look into to extend the so-called incentive period to a more longer period. In addition to that, I would like to request the government, or propose for the government to consider, in order to help the current challenges facing by the developer as well as on the EPC side, the import duty on all those so offshore material, like the SST, can be considered to waive off. So that from the developer side, from the service provider side, at least both parties got some gain. Yeah, so that
Yes.
we won't be having so much of financial outlay, looking into making the so-called meeting the numbers, the financial numbers.
Okay. Sounds
Yeah.
very good. You summarized it very well. Thank you so much, Mr. Tang. Mr. Ng.
Yeah, I would love that the government could promote more policy and incentive, or like our other panelists has mentioned, better stability and consistency in terms of the policy to allow us as an equipment manufacturer to adapt to it quickly as well. Because eventually, Malaysian market is still relatively small, and we need time to adapt quickly to the local requirement. Yeah.
Okay. So, Jack.
All of the above. But
Oh,
yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, it's just mainly clarity, right, in policy frameworks, and I think more importantly, we shouldn't be so conservative, like the industry. I mean, this is a Malaysian style, slowly, learn as we go along. But I think it's time we sort of, we take off the training wheels and go quicker, lah. I mean, yeah, we're
yeah.
just moving a bit too slowly, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So, yeah, for you steal my message. Steal my statement. All the above. Thank you. Thank you. So, should we open for some Q&A before we end the session? Is there any
Yes,
ones that?
I have done the announcement. The audience will be posting few Q&As. So
Okay.
before that, I also want to know closing remarks by Mr. Siuchun sir. If you want to add something more by that time.
Uh, yeah, I would also hope that Malaysia government or the respective authority can start preparing for storage technology as well. So we storage and technology is about to come. So I know the price is still a bit high, but I think by the time when everything set down, when we start the discussion and have everything set down, I think that would be about the time. So I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully we can have a policy soon for storage technology as well. Thank you.
Great, sir. Great. So I believe the audience has no doubts because the session was so informative. There almost questions would have been covered. So we are actually running out of time. So I would like to end the session here. Before that, I would like to thank K Kong sir for managing the session so well. You were absolutely outstanding, and thank you for the terrific and professional example you set as a moderator. So it was a pleasure to have each one of you, and I am sure if this would have been a live performance, we would have got a standing ovation for the same. So thank you so much, everyone, and see you back soon. And audience, I would just like to inform we'll be starting with the next session in the next 15 minutes. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Thank
Thank
everyone.
you
you,
all.
everybody.
Bye.
Glad to
Thank
have
you.
you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Bye.
everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Welcome back, attendees. It's time for our second session now. So let me see how many people are active with yes. Can you please hit the like button to show me the energy level? Okay, so that's great. Great to know that all the audience is as excited as me. So, before starting with the panel discussion, let's start with a sponsor presentation by Mr. Praveen Kumar Mandi, who is from Seal and Terre International. So, the screen is all yours, sir. You can present your presentation now. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prancy. I'll share my screen. Please do let me know once you see it. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir. You can proceed with your presentation.
Just give me a second. Let me put it in the slide mode.
That's all.
Okay. Firstly, thank you for this opportunity to present Selector's capability and our history profile and key strengths and everything. I'll take you all through a brief presentation. Please let me know if you can see my screen and hear me clearly.
Yes,
Um,
sir. We can hear you properly. We can see you properly.
Thank you. I'll start a bit with historical milestones. So we started back in 2006, and during that time we were basically into the rooftop business. And eventually in 2010, it was the year when Selector launched its patented technology called Hydrolio, and Hydrolio is the thing we call for our floaters actually. So yes, our team in France came up with this technology to install solar plants in water bodies. So hence the floating water solar projects journey started for Selector from 2010, and since then until today we have including the projects ongoing, we have crossed a gigawatt peak of projects. In terms of number of projects, it is close to 300 plus projects globally. Our main headquarters is based in France, and we have offices all over the world, right from US to Japan to Taiwan, in India, in Malaysia, Thailand, and Indonesia as well. So here I'm representing of course, Selector globally, but I sit in Selector in Energy Center in Barat in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So we cover entire Southeast Asia region, including Oceania market. So we'll be happy to assist anybody for this market. I'll touch a bit on our products. So these are the ones we called floats or Hydrolio. Hydrolio Classic was one of our first product. So this when we started the floating solar journey. So this product came with a fixed tilt of 12 degree. It has a taper of 12 degree, and since then the product evolved. We launched two more. One was the Equato. The Equato came with a tilt of 5 degree, and it was mostly designed for the countries near equatorial regions. And then eventually Hydrolio Air. So this is the most widely used product. We have some variants as well, depending upon the PV module sizes. We choose the product. So this Hydrolio Air, the reason why it is most used right now is because it it provides a lot of advantages. Now, as you can see, it's flat in nature, and hence giving us to mount PV modules in different tilts or configurations according to the client's requirement. So, and also in terms of logistics, the stacking is quite easier. So hence it is the most used one. So as I said, depending upon the PV modules that client choose, we vary. There are different subvariants that we use. We have 7 registered patents for these products. We have in-house R&D based in France, India, and Japan, who are continuously evolving or coming up with new developments to cater to all the new requirements. Like for example, we have like the PV module industry is evolving from 400 watt peak last year to this year almost we are touching 600 watt peak in some of the projects. So hence our modules needs to be, our floaters needs to be uh, um, modified as well to cater to those requirements. These product, which I mentioned, goes through a stringent testing requirements posted by some of the clients. So to meet all the requirements from different various developers and stakeholders, we carry out several tests. Some of them are listed here. So our floaters go through wind tunnel test, and there is a computational CFD done on each of these floats as well to test in different for the most harsh conditions possible. It is being tested against for UV corrosion as well, for tensile strengths, drinking water compliance, and bending fatigue tests. So just to name a few, even fire hazard test we do on our product. So these are some of the tests that we carry out on our product. So the benefit of our products. So to list down a few of the benefits is that firstly, it's drinking water compliance, as we said. So one of our flagship project for such was a Queen Elizabeth II reservoir in London. It was a 6 megawatt peak project. It's been running since close to 5 years now, and it's a drinking water reservoir catering to the drinking water requirements of London suburbs. And our floats has been tested yearly there, and it has been we have been certified that our product has been certified as drinking water compliant. Now, as I said, we do a lot of testing on our product, so that helps our product stay afloat on harsh conditions like and high wind, typhoonic conditions as well. The most of the credit goes to our design team to design in such a way as well. Now, coming to the production part of the floats, so our company's main mission is to go for the local supply chain. Now, this really helps in many projects, especially large scale projects, to bring down the economies of scale. Actually, so we believe in going for the local production, especially in the different countries that we work upon, and looking at the project size as well as the pipeline that we have. Our industrial team will shortlist the blow molding company, basically the companies coming from plastic industry background or automotive background. We shortlist them, then we form a sort of JV, share our know-how and our molds, our designs, etc. to and quality standards, everything, and we produce our floats locally. So that has been our motto, vision, and that we are doing the same. The very recent development was in Indonesia. We have been awarded with purchase order for one of the largest floating solar project, 192 megawatt peak for on Cirata Dam Reservoir. So there, and some of the countries like in Indonesia will definitely, they have this thing called local content requirement. So to cater to such requirement, our this vision of having local content plays a vital role. So we make sure we develop entire supply chain locally for our scope of work. And these products, which are the factory we choose to manufacture our floats, will go to the all the standard testing regimes set up by, or quality regime set up by Selectier. So we share our quality dossier with the local production, and our team will be there to supervise the production and everything. So some of them are just been listed on this slide. Coming to the technical side of it, so what services that we offer for a developer or a stakeholder or an EPC is the design. So whenever we receive an inquiry to put up a floating solar project on any water body, so our design team, we normally use this is the standard checklist. So we collect our data using this checklist, and there are some other data that we request to the client, like bathymetry or topography or underwater or on the shore soil composition report. Using all this input data, our design team will try to design or put up a floating solar on the AutoCAD or different softwares that our team use, and actually check the feasibility of what is the capacity that can be built on a particular water body. So we have different tools for different countries. So we refer to all the international codes, building codes, and also the in whichever country we are working on, that country's particular national codes, national building codes are referred in designing a system. So with all these inputs, we deliver or we submit a technical pack which will include the layout of the floating solar plant, the representation of it, and the different configuration in terms of string configuration, PV module, everything. PVCS report can be provided if required. And at the preliminary stage, our team definitely help client in assessing the anchoring methodology that can be adopted for that particular water body. So if any site visit done, we provide the site report as well. So the most important aspect of any floating solar project is anchoring and mooring, actually. So anchoring and mooring, the first part I spoke about putting up floaters on the water body. Now to keep those floats and PV modules afloat on any water body for its lifetime, we need to have a robust anchoring and mooring technology. So that is where our key expertise come in. We have in-house expertise spread across the globe. They use various software to simulate all the different challenges that particular site will throw up. Let's speak about Philippines, which has one of the harshest environment, like wind speed goes as high as 75 miles per hour, and there are frequent typhoons there. So putting up a FPV in such an environment is definitely challenging. So that is where our in-house capability of simulating such conditions and then choosing a proper anchoring technology and methodology comes handy, actually. So we don't give it to a third party or anybody. It's everything is done in-house. And one of our key deliverables post awarding is detail engineering design. So to carry out this detail engineering design, we normally request the end client or EPC to provide us some key data from the water body. That's basically, to name a few, it is bathymetry of that water body, and water level history, water quality data, and any seismic history, or and if there is no option to do any shore anchoring, we have to do underwater anchoring. So we will request for underwater soil composition report or soil penetration test reports. If we are doing bank anchoring, so we will request this soil analysis report for the bank of it. So all these inputs are taken, and then various, as I said, after running through various simulation, our team will come up with a report that will include what are the assumptions are undertaken on that, different load calculation, environmental loads like wind, wave. So these are all considered in our design for that particular each respective site, what I mean to say. Then our anchoring layout, then anchoring table, and what is the anchor technology being used. So this is the deliverable, and this is one of the key part of our deliverables. Now our anchoring and mooring was certified by Bureau Veritas last year. They chose a study project to study a project in Europe, and using that, our assessment was carried for more than 1 year, and finally last year we were awarded with the certificate. And this is the drinking water compliance report for our floats. A little bit on product. So this is how a typical setup will look like. So these are our floors, these are the three modules, how it is mounted. And this particular arrangement is a 4 in a row arrangement. So our team, we are flexible in terms of this configuration. It can be 1 in a row, 2 in a row, 4 in a row, 3 in a row. So it depends on client's request and what is the most optimum configuration that particular water body can take up. So that is being assessed by our team and designed accordingly. So yeah, this is another view of the uh, product. We do provide solutions for mounting string inverters, and this is one of the examples of how the string inverters are mounted and on floating solar island. So, and also for junction boxes. For cableways, we provide floats so that cableways can be laid in between the island as well as taken till the shore. So this is just an example of it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for the insightful presentation. Now it's time to have our much awaited panel discussion on the session of the big tech trends shaping large scale solar. So, in the esteemed panel, we have with us Mr. KK Kong from Marco Engineering, who is also the session chair for the day. Miss Air Chow Hui Hui from Samedan, Mr. Elvin Wong from Sanseep Group, Mr. Ajay Deepak from SMA Solar, Mr. Praveen Kumar Mandi from Sealand Terra International, and Mr. Siu Chun from Goodwill. So the discussion will be led by KK Kong, sir. Welcome all the panelists on the screen and handing it over to you, sir. Please take it ahead.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. Yeah, so for those that have the session one, attended session one just now, um, it's more about the policy. We've covered policy, regulatory, and finance. And now this is the second session. It's more about the topic of the technology trend that's shaping the LSS in Malaysia. So I think as an industrial players, I like to welcome the prestigious panel speakers here. Um, there are two um, developers and EPC here, which is Miss I.R. Chow. I'd like to introduce her. So she's the managing director of Samaden. I.R. Chow. She's a professional engineer by training. and has been in this industry for a long time. Very experienced EPC and developers. Welcome, Chow. So the second is from Sunseed, Mr. Alvin. Hi, Alvin. How are you?
Hi KK, how are you? Long
Hey.
time no see.
Yes, yes, yes. So Alvin is the director of Sunseed Malaysia. So he have involved in a few solar farm projects. Probably later I will invite him to share his experience on that. And Mr. Ng was Mr. Ng, which is the sales manager of Malaysia and Southeast Asia from Goodwe Inverters manufacturer. Um, the other inverter manufacturer is from Mr. From SMA, Mr. AJ. Hi, Mr. AJ. Nice to meet you. So, last but not least, Mr. Pravin, which is he has just shared with us his CNT technologies, which is pretty impressive on the growth of adopting of floating solar. Later, do share with us as much as possible about floating solar technologies and your experience in Southeast Asia. Okay,
Sure,
so
sure.
without further ado, allow me to invite Mr. Ng and AJ to share about the technology breakthrough in the inverters that can help developers and EPC like us, you see. So, Mr. Ng, so what's the, probably start with Mr. Ng, then followed by Mr. AJ, the inverters technology breakthrough and upcoming features that will lower down our LCOE that our sponsors, developers that always looking for. Cost down, cost down.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So we are talking about large scale solar. So when we are talking about large scale solar, there is always a comparison between central solutions or string solutions. So Goodwe is specialized in string solutions. So I will touch more on the string solutions, the technology breakthrough in terms of string solutions, and I will leave back the central solutions for AJ from SMA. Yeah. So basically, as we all know, module is getting bigger and bigger. The high performance power class is getting up to 600 plus watt from the 210 mm, and of course the 182 is also pretty high, around 590 or 550. So from the inverter perspective, the biggest challenge would be how can we cope with such a large input current? Because as we all know, large input current will cause bigger power per string, and as well as also power loss within the components of the semiconductors. So one of the biggest issue for string inverter is of course to overcome the thermal management. How can I ensure that the inverter is still performing at the optimum condition without any derating at ambient temperature of 40 degrees, which is the average temperature of Malaysia. So yeah, so Goodwe actually has already overcome this. We have developed a 250 kilowatt string inverter with 1,500 VDC input that is compatible to both of these modules, 20 ampere as well as the 210 mm as well as the 182 mm module technology. And we are also proud to claim that we only we can have full load at 40 degrees Celsius. So basically, we have done a lot of homework with our thermal management, so to ensure that our client can still enjoy an optimum output during with such a big module performance. Yeah. So the other things that I would touch is in terms of technology, for string inverter that we have also come very long way with the iris curve scanning, as well as the fault data storing capability when fault happens. So all our solutions is designed with the ease of maintenance on-site, ease of maintenance in mind, and and hopefully we can also reduce the maintenance costs in the whole 21 years of the whole projects. And this is the way that how inverter manufacturer is trying to assist our client, which is the developer as well as EPCC, to reduce their LCOE. Thank you, Kong.
Thank you, thank you. How about AJ? SME is pretty famous for your string inverters and your technologies. So can you share what are the features, new features that are helping the developers to achieve a lower LCOE? Oh, I think AJ is having some challenges. Okay, if that is the case, probably I will save these questions to for him later. So, and okay, probably my next question is to address to IR Chow and also Elvin. Both of you are from the space of developer and EPC. So, can you share your probably your LSS 1 and LSS 2 experience? That you know how what technology are you adopting that is helping to achieve a good system design and also LCOE?
I will start first. Hi KK. Long
Hi,
time.
hi. Yes.
Okay, probably that come back to your questions. Actually, we are looking at talking about LSS one, Large Scale Solar one. Until now is Large Scale Solar 4. Every time we talk about Large Scale Solar one, for us that is the best lah. Looking at it because of the best PPA rate. When there is the best PPA rate, then the LCOE or the design or samples that we have more flexible for the cost controls wise. So from last year solar one, about 40 cents per kilowatt hour, ringgit per kilowatt hour. Until now, last year solar 4, I think average 18 to 24. Yeah. So there's a big drop. So the challenges as EPC that involved in large scale solar 1, large scale solar 2, large scale solar 3, and also large scale solar 4, a big challenge lah. Plus the current now the panel price has increased in monthly basis, the price.
Yeah.
So
Weekly.
yes, this recently also weekly basis. So that is a big challenge for the EPC as well as the project developer. But as for long term, that large scale solar still the way to go, because that is with the implementation of large scale solar only able to help the country to increase the renewable energy mix in a faster pace, like among others renewable energy source. So how to look about the LSS, now we on the EPC levels to help the developer to optimize the project cost, value engineering, selections of the equipments. Briefly, we more talk about the major equipment costs. So now we need to eyeing until all the little components as well already, because that all add up to the cost. So talking about the technologies, now that as just now Mr. Ng mentioned, now the largest panels that will be higher power class, I think is 600 plus, versus that last scale solar one that I did it actually is I think 345. It's almost doubles already, almost doubles. So the good thing is that with the bigger size of panels, that it can reduce the quantity of the panels. So quantity of panels reduce, I think the cost of installations, because we are still counting the installation based on per piece basis lah. Install one piece by one piece. So on that, it can help on the slight reduce on the installation cost.
I see.
So that's why the trend is going to on the higher power class is actually the way forward. And talking about the other selections of the technologies at LCOE, so everybody will go to the very until the down level selection of the cable, selections of the every single layer of the cost that we are doing very precisely and value engineering.
Okay.
So like last year solar one, okay, in general, say everybody make money, owner make money, EPC make money, subcontractor make money. So everybody happy. But now LSS4, the panel supplier making money. So other people are suffering. So
Yes.
something that you have to think in an innovative way, value engineering, how to optimize it, how to help the developer
Yeah.
to increase their profit, basically.
Yeah. So we everyone here, Chow, what mentioned value engineering, the keyword.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh? And
Yeah.
we this at every supply chain, the procurement is very important to cost down. So how about Alvin? Alvin, I understand that you have some experience in this structure and tracker, in your previous project. So probably you can share some uh, um, ideas there that how to lower down. What are the technology trends on that?
Okay. So for technology trend, we believe that we have actually all the trackers actually started with the AC/DC ratio sizing. Malaysia has always been sizing 1.2, 1.3, and a lot of our Western counterparts started to design it at 1.5 AC/DC ratio for large scale solar. So that is when the optimization of solar trackers actually came upon, which it became actually very, very exciting for everyone. Yield of more than 10%, 15%. People are being very happy, but at the same time, people are worried is because there were some 3 mega or 5 mega plants that was using trackers previously before LSS in Malaysia that didn't really actually go well. But benefit of doubt is that even our KETSA has become mass tech and back to KETSA already. So, we have actually, technology has actually evolved with time. I think regulatory has also been very strong. In order for that to happen is beyond technology. I would say it is thanks to, the lower cost of funds, the understanding of the importance of silver and mechanical stress on all these trackers and structures. We start to appreciate for fixed axis. We are talking about adjustable heights. We are talking about modular types of structures. So those are the things that actually has driven a lot for LSS one and two. But for LSS, moving on for LSS4, LSS4 basically is very interesting. When I say interesting, is that uh, we are not sure whether it's the policy, how effective it will be. Is that since panels are so expensive right now, maybe certain people would like to invest a little bit more on land and a little bit more on structures instead, to get a higher yield through the tracker system. But again, only if your land is very flat. So that's how we look at it. And for I think back to the point where 2025, all of us are looking at not only trackers, maybe a combination of trackers, bifacials, and also BESS to get our non-intermittent. Yeah, I think that is the ultimate combo that we will have. Yeah, KK,
Yeah.
back to you.
Okay. So audience, dear everyone. So the take home is must do your homework. Don't follow the technology for the sake of following. There might be many salesmen out there that want to push their product. So you have to do value engineering and really know what you are doing before selecting the correct technologies. Yeah. So coming back to the technology selection, the inverters, your choice is string inverters and also central inverters. May I invite Mr. AJ from SMA to share about your specialties, your features of your products that will value add to again the LSS, the lower down the LCOE. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Kong. So am I audible?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So before going into the inverter technologies, we would like to see what is driving the inverter technology. It's simple as module technologies. when model technology evolves, if it changes, inverter manufacturers simply adapt to that. So now, coming into that picture, the market driving factors are higher overloading, which is like 50% easily. Everybody wants to overload to get better levelized cost of energy. This is for the large scale projects. Everybody wants to do that. And second scenario is the business viability. Like for example, if the PPA changes, or if the in case of new business model gets evolved, how my present project will be viable, and how I can change my existing PPA into a new PPA where I will work. You run this project for more than 25 years or minimum 25 years. How do I get a guarantee of this? So if you are seeing this trend, what is happening is higher overloading is also driving the DC coupled technologies into the industries, energy storage, energy storage projects. Maybe you will not see this kind of projects immediately, but on an yearly basis, you will see minimum 5 to 10% rise on large scale projects converting into a PV plus energy storage integrations. Plus, one of the biggest challenge at present is in the IV curve tracking is we cannot see the fault on the module level. We can see only the fault on the string level. So to see the fault on the module level, you still need a manual camera thermal scanning device to find the fault on the particular string. So it again needs a manual interruption. Manpower is needed for that. So the future will be to overcome this kind of limitations. So that will be driven by the artificial intelligence based out of drones, not on the inverters, on the drone technologies, which will survey all the panels and find out the fault on the module level. So you don't need to use IBS curve scannings to find out the module level fault. So these technologies will drive the inverters towards a centralized architecture, not in a distributed architecture and centralized architecture. For example, if you go for any PV projects for future energy storage integration, you need a response time for the entire plant control in milliseconds, in 500 milliseconds, for example, or 300 milliseconds in a complete closed loop. So if you have a 100 megawatt project with multiple inverters distributed all over the plant, it is not possible to achieve this kind of a precise control. For that, you have to bring that conversion device where you convert DC to AC near to the transformers, because that is the main brain in the system to control the output of the systems. So that will drive towards centralized architecture. But I would not say you will see a big large inverters coming into that. Maybe how the inverter capacity may go higher. So it was 5 years back, it was maximum 100 kilowatt string inverters you saw. Now you are seeing 250, 300, maybe 350 will be there. So in another next 5 years, another 3 years, you will see a 500 kilowatt inverter. So inverters, maybe smaller capacities are possible, but the designs will be done in a way to bring the inverters very near to the transformer, so that it will help for the energy storage integration and faster plant control, so that your PPAs are in terms of project viability, it won't get limited in terms of new business models.
Okay,
So
I see. Wow. So thank you, AJ, for sharing. You know, the trend, the string inverters, the power class is going higher, and you mentioned about this centralized monitoring, the speed to um, controlling the power plant. Those are some of the new technologies that SMA is providing. It's pretty exciting. So we encourage everyone to contact, Mr. Ng and AJ, for more information about both string and central inverters. Um, for your consideration to have a high tech solar farm. Okay, so next is I like to invite Mr. Pravin to share. Um, you have shared to us just now the presentation about your technologies. Can you share some projects experience of deploying and implementing floating in the large scale in I don't know in Indonesia, Thailand, or Malaysia, or any of the Southeast Asia countries?
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
thank you,
so
Mr. Kong, firstly.
yeah.
Yeah, with the floating solar, such as I explained in my presentation, I'll just brief a little bit on the challenges that we face. So, one of our project in Indonesia is 192 megawatt. We are working on that project. It itself as a testament of how the floating solar project will look like going forward. Actually, a lot of challenges. You see, putting up a floating solar project on a normal water body like a dam, a quarry lake, or a irrigation pond with shallow water levels is still okay. I mean, you will not face much of a hassle. But now there is a trend of putting up floating solar projects in dam reservoirs, and and then combining it with the SPPs, GPPs already in operation to get this extra gains or benefits. So, dam reservoirs are it's there are a lot of challenges when you speak about dam reservoirs, because a lot of to let me not speak about the water body first, but the authority is also involved in the dam safeties and everything. So we have to come from each step, satisfying all the ticking all the boxes. I mean to say, and then the working on dam reservoir itself, the water goes very deep. We in this particular project it is 90 meters deep, and it's not a proper flat seabed. You will have slopey terrains, up and down terrains, and you will have some unknown objects. And so we are talking about doing anchoring and mooring of the floating floaters underwater here. So a lot of in-depth study of that water body is required. So when I mentioned about detail anchoring design, so we need some inputs. So we work with clients, technical partners. So what kind of studies needs to be done in terms like bathymetry or sonar scan of the entire water body underwater to find out all the unknown, the hidden challenges that may pop up when we start working on the project. So putting up just producing the floats and installing PV modules and pushing into the water, it is the first step and it's the basic step. And the second, before that, we do the anchoring and mooring of it. So that is where it is most challenging, the step that I mentioned now. So we we have to know. Our request so far to each developers and EPCs and stakeholders, it has been to study the underwater conditions, when especially on the large scale projects. We are doing some feasibilities in Vietnam, in Philippines, in Laos as well. A big on most of them are in water dam reservoirs, and some of them are open lakes, and but on the large scale actually. So it is very important to know if is there any underwater vegetation as well. So this
I
is
see.
something we are
Okay,
encouraging client to go for it. Yes, to
great.
study.
So, what is the stage? Thank you for sharing that. For to I think the take home for the audience is, if you want to do floating solar, you must choose the good technology partner, uh,
Yes,
to make sure to, because it's pretty challenging also and risky to do
yes,
on
yes.
floating solar. So
Yeah,
make sure you choose partner like CNT. Okay, look for
exactly,
Pravin for that.
exactly.
What
Thank
what
you.
is the stage of the project now? Is it a COD or in the process of deploying, or
I mean, we are working
Indonesia
on the design freeze now.
design phase?
So on the detailed design part, what I mean to say. So the client is going to start the construction, civil construction soon on that project. COD is still towards the end of next year, and
I
that is
see.
the plan. So yeah,
Okay, so we look forward to your report in future. How is it going?
yeah, sure.
Okay, so next, we are still in the topic of the technology trend. Um, Probably I'd like to invite Mr. Ng and AJ also to talk about the battery storage for utility scales. What is the trend? We have not really see the Malaysia solar farm adopting this. And how about the other countries? Probably you can share that, and any other safety features that is up and coming that the developer in Malaysia should take note. The stage is yours. Um, Again, probably start with Mr. Ng, then AJ. Mr. Ng?
Well, okay, so BESS storage technology, yeah, we have seen the adoption of the technology in various countries like in Australia or even in China. There are particularly a few showcase projects going around. Yeah, and most of them are now still using lithium ion battery, yeah. But we are looking forward to see other battery storage technologies as well, which would of course try to reduce the LCOE again. So we are always talking about grid parity, uh, and the initial capex will really at the moment, I would say for the battery storage is still a bit high. So for Malaysia to reach this grid parity, I think we still need the pricing for the battery storage to go down further. And as mentioned by the earlier panelist, Mr. Gan, Malaysia have one of the best transmission of grid network in the region. So I would say that BESS is currently still not really a necessity for the Malaysian market. Yeah.
How about AJ?
Yeah. Okay. So in storage, there are two types of projects we see in the industry. One is grid supporting applications, where these kind of projects are requested by the grid operators. For example, in this case Malaysia, it should be a EVN. A EVN will release a tender to support the grid in terms of frequency regulations, which is reactive power supports, this kind of scenarios, so that the stress on the grid can be shared by the storage inverters. This is one type of project. This is driven by this is driven mainly by the grid operators when when they move more towards renewable energy, they will be forced to do this, and it is required. It is a nature. It will always comes into this. And second scenario is a energy shift applications, which are done by the energy operators like developers, for example. So there, it was not there initially because the battery price was very high. It was purely lithium-ion cobalt-based technologies. But now, because of developments in LFP batteries, the prices are reduced, and that is more suitable for energy shift applications. So that will drive the industry towards energy shift market. Now, let's take an example of Vietnam. Nobody imagined that Vietnam will have so much of renewable energy in short durations. But when this happened, what was the reality was there's a lot of curtailment was there. The grid was not prepared for the scenario. This is happened because there are a lot of developers installed it. But let's take another scenario. There was an issue on the grid, which is forcing the curtailment scenarios to happen. So there are two ways it can happen. So now when this happens, the developers realize at that time we should have had energy shift applications in the PV plant ready. So when there was a curtailment, the power should have gone to the battery, and I should have fed at the evening time to get better revenue. So now they are losing the revenue, but they are now in a verge of adding a storage. But when you add storage later part, you cannot go for DC coupling. You have to go for AC coupling for that easy in the installations. But when you go for AC coupling, the cost is much higher. So what is happening in the markets, if you see from this, people wants to go for PV projects, but with DC coupling option ready. So they want to provide a space near to the PV inverter. So later they can install the container of batteries near to the PV inverter stations and add the storage. So there is no cost involved in this, just a provision of space around the inverter station. Like for example, 240-feet containers space should be sufficient for the large scale projects for each inverter block. Inverter block can be like 8 megawatt or 4-5 megawatt capacities. So you have to spend only the money for the land required for that 40-feet containers for each stations. So when you provide this space, and later then you can add DC coupling option into the PV systems. So that will secure the investment for the developer without spending large amount of money. So I'm saying that it may happen, it may not happen, but if it happens, it should not be too late for the customers to spend more money on this. So
Okay.
this is one type of project. The another type of project, for example, is in Australia, we are developing 250 megawatt grid supporting applications and 150 megawatt grid supporting applications in Philippines. So these are all done by the grid operators or by the developers who have a tariff. Like for example, they sign a frequency response support tariff with the grid operators. So these are all controlled by the grid operators. You don't get revenue for energy, but it's a different PPA models. But it will always come as a package along with the PV. Only thing is it needs some extra renewable energy push to come, like penetration, you would say. When the penetration goes higher, this storage will pick up. But Malaysia is in a position where we can generate more power. The grid is more advanced, and we can have stabilized grid. Furthermore, stabilize the grid with the energy storage.
Okay, exciting road ahead for all the inverters player that are becoming more and more smart, to manage, to help the grid to be more resilient and stable with all this battery energy storage. We look forward to more projects to come. So before I open up the Q&A session, I'd like to ask two final questions, one for Miss Chow and another for Alvin. For Miss Chow, what are the today's stumbling block for EPC in the whole value chain, of today, challenges of COVID and then all these things, you see, especially despite all these things, you're still able to secure deals, you see. So probably you can share your experience on this one to the audience, you see, and what to take note. Yeah.
Okay, for the implementation of a large-scale solar in Malaysia, that involvement of the local authority approvals. We need to obtain the local approval by the developer, and also developer need to get the financial close. So this is a two parts that usually take times by the project developer to fulfill this condition precedent before APC can step into the site to start the project implementations. So the end date for the project implementation, which is the completion date, which is the COD date, usually is fixed already during the bidding time, the really completed certain date of the scheduled commercial operation date. So the end date usually is unchanged. The variables actually is changing. One is the authority approvals, the uh, site assessments, and also the financial close. This is a variables thing that is not able to control. So if this have been controlled well, then as EPC of the installations, they got sufficient time to work in the site to complete the projects. So if there are some delays on the front parts, particularly on financial close and all this, there's a local authority approvals that actually will be impacted the project implementation time. So we actually, as the experienced EPC, usually we anticipated there is some delay on the entering the site due to the financial close levels, but we will always be uh, try to our best to do whatever that we can do it earlier. So looking at the current situations of the markets, particularly the pandemic, the lockdown that happening in since year 2020 until this year 2021, these 2 years, a lot of challenges, full lockdown, half lockdown of this MCO, FMCO orders. So actually have impacted the project implementations. And also with the increase of the cases, also that is COVID cases, there is a lot of cost increase on the do the PCR, to the swab test, and to ensure all those workers are safe to work in the project sites. So there is an additional cost on all this testing. So that's why looking at the overall pictures, that earlier on we are talking about the value engineering on the design stage to optimize the cost on the procurements on the materials, because to battle the increase of the material cost, not only panel, cables, aluminiums, all these materials. actually the cost of labor also increased because of the compliance to the SOP, the standard operation procedures during the construction period due to the COVID additional costs actually for the labor. And also for Malaysia, after a period of lockdown and a lot of construction works have just commenced lately, so those workers are actually highly in demand now. So they might choose that go to the construction works that is more easier or more relaxed rather than work in a solar farm that they do to carry the panels of 20-30 kilo of panels and work under the hot sun. So that's why getting workers and labels also a challenges from current situations. So the main thing is on the value engineering and the during project implementation, project management is very, very important to make sure you are within a short period or within a planned period to complete the project is very important. If you delay the projects, actually the cost is overrun. The cost is
Exactly.
overrun, but that is the things that so you have to the planning have to be do it very precisely. So that is the two way I look at it. Design stage, implementation. This is the two things we need to do.
Yes, yes, yes. Spot on. I think IR Chow have shared very valuable experience, on real implementation. My previous project, UITM 61 mega, as the owner engineers, we have seen the EPC were being a penalty for millions and millions of dollars because of late delivery. You see, so it is
So
not
project
easy.
management very important.
Yes, yes, yes.
Very
If you
important.
did not project manage well, you'll be killed uh, by the contract.
But
Okay.
the case is a bit different currently is that the pandemic actually is not affected Malaysia only, actually it's affected globally. So the supply chain globally also have been affected. So
Yes.
there is some of the delay is actually is not coming from the workers, actually it's coming from the material delivery late. So that is also one of the aspect that we need to look into it. But for those upcoming project that the advice is that uh, planning is very, very important. Procurement need to make order, make it earlier. If not, that price increase also a problem also. So that is something that my team are doing. So have more time to do a planning design and start the procurement as soon as
Good.
possible and finalize the design as soon as possible. Then actually that we have more time on the implementation and the project management and on-site team also have to be very strong and make sure the time is be controlled and precisely.
Yes, yes. So thank you, IR Chow. So the Alvin, how about Sunseap? Your company is a regional player. So can you share with us your key learning, from your regional projects? You see, that the technology that have helped you guys to lower down the cost or deliver the projects, on time, kind of stuff. What are the challenges? Maybe the floating projects or ground mounted projects. Up to you.
Okay,
What you want to share? Yeah.
okay, KK. So I think basically the past 2 years has been an eye opener for everyone due to COVID. So I believe the first thing that really drives the global RE transformation, even in Malaysia, is the policies. Policies have to be planned well and be in place, which I earlier mentioned that from KETSA to MESTEC to KETSA, all of this has been done in a very tedious and a very well planned manner. So, in fact, for this during COVID, as you see in Malaysia, there is no manufacturing, there is no construction, uh, services like airlines and tourism are all gone. So I believe that RE was the one that actually contribute quite a lot to the GDP in Malaysia. So the next thing is, you see, in terms of technicality, this is when the understanding of batteries and grid penetration. If we are talking about a pure solar injection, we are just always talking about a AC to DC ratio. However, if when you have a storage, or they call it the BESS, basically you can run 24/7. For example, if you're having a 100 megawatt plant, basically if you have battery storage, you can keep on injecting 100 megawatt using 100 megawatt of grid penetration only. While if you only have large scale solar without batteries, basically that will be an issue where you have to size maybe only 50 megawatt or 60 megawatt in order to reach it. So batteries plays a very important part of losing this so RE drive. Okay, and whenever there is RE energy, there is an opportunity, and this opportunity spreads to developers, suppliers, EPCs, to small little businesses like eateries and grocery shops. So a lot of people talk about ESGs. A lot of people say that, hey, it's an economy of a town and all those things. But the most important part is that the GDP now sits, especially for countries like Malaysia, countries like maybe even Thailand, who has been hit badly by COVID. I believe that RE would be the next thing to happen to really boot the economy back up. And with that being said, is that we foresee in 2025 uh, there will be a lot of need for us to export expensive energy to our neighbors, because we do not want to actually implement high tariff to the rakyat of Malaysia. So that's why we believe that certain things such as even our cross-border could be revived, and at the same time, all this we have learned all the technologies, and in the end, it boils down to what is your forecast of prices, how strong is your procurement, how much risk you are willing to take with forex, how much cost of fund that you have right now, and of course the technology evolvement of inverters, panels, BOS, storage, and only with all these driven commercial eccentric parameters that we hit on this target, then only Malaysia can go to P2P, Malaysia can go to NEDA. So, based on for your info, I think a lot of people have heard that, Sunseap is now a global company, no longer just a Singaporean company. It's a global, is because we have presence around the whole world already, thanks to our recent merger with EDPR. So I believe with all the technical strength that we have, and together with all the local champions like yourself, KK, like Miss Chow, and a couple more of prominent EPCs, I think solar is now the major stumbling block. Is can we actually have some tariff to actually help cushion all the so-called upgrading of infrastructure. Do we even need the upgrade of infrastructure, as far as we know that the grid penetration in Malaysia is actually 2.5 gig, somewhere around that. Vietnam is a different case, because Vietnam suddenly grew by more than 10 gigawatt. But Malaysia, if we are so well planned, and with our current reserve of 20 to 30% of reserves, I believe if we start implementing battery storage systems, implementing higher technology inverters, and also solar panels, which I think it will actually be a well-planned thing to do, so that Malaysia can really inject more than 2.5 gigawatt, because this 2.5 gigawatt, I believe, is without upgrading of infrastructure. With upgrading of infrastructure, I think Malaysia can go more than 10 gigawatt. So it's a matter of, again, back to the RE policies, that hopefully our policymakers can hear us, and drive this even more, so we can catch up to Vietnam. Yeah.
Thank you so much for Alvin. So we have to race to not to fall too far behind Vietnam. So as a Malaysia, okay.
Yeah, and then Thailand and Philippines. Yeah, we have high hopes in Malaysia lah. Yeah.
Okay. As a wrap up before the any Q&A, So can I have everyone round robin to say like one sentence, make it short, of what you like to what you wish for, or what you like to summarize your sharing. Yeah. So probably start with Praveen.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, firstly, thank you for the organizing such a wonderful seminar. It was my first, and I'm very happy to be part of it. It allows us to present our capabilities. So, with the vision of this renewable energy, I think we are keen to explore this market as much as possible, and we invite all the stakeholders, developers, and EPCs to contact us and communicate with us, and so that we can take this opportunity forward. Thank you.
Okay. So Mr. Ng, then AJ.
Yeah, basically, agree with what Alvin and IR Chow mentioned earlier. I think policies and is important, and the regulatory framework need to be there in order to push the growth of RE in Malaysia in a quicker way, be it for floating solar as well as BESS. Yeah, thank you.
So Malaysia, we can simply, when you develop a policies, we can follow the markets which are already implemented. So we can take that example and learn what kind of mistakes happened in other markets and try to solve it, and we can follow that. That is the easiest way, and it is the best way to do it. And only thing is we have to dream big in terms of policies to achieve the bigger capacities in terms of renewable energy. Then we can implement it easily. There is no limit for renewable energy. There are n number of ways we can do the projects, including storage and renewable energies both.
Okay. Thank you for the one last sentence. And IR Chow.
For me, that in terms of policy, that for sure that we hope that there's more available project to be done in Malaysia, because there will be a lot of abundance of potential in Malaysia, and also with a lot of experience in Malaysia already. So that's why we continue the policy that have more RE to be implemented in Malaysia. For technology point of view, that hopefully the technology providers like inverters or the panel suppliers or manufacturers that can come up with more economic and easy install equipment that we can implement and can apply in our system as the project EPCC as well as a project developer, so that I have a very good LCOE price to implement the RE projects. So on the last one will be the operation and maintenance for long term, to ensure that will be have a consistent returns that what the developer have been putting in. That is also very important.
Okay. Yeah. Alvin.
Okay, I would say let's tap on each other's strength. We have global players, we have local champions here, and we believe that us being together right here, we will be able to actually learn at the expenses of global and local experience that we have encountered. So I would say get the tuition fees. A lot of people say pay your own tuition fees, but I do not believe in that. I believe is that learn at the expenses of other people's mistakes. So we made. I have to admit that we are where we are today is because we made mistakes and we grow from there, and we are still surviving. So that's my last piece of advice here. Yeah.
Yes. 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 So thank you very much, everyone. We are just about on time for wrapping up the session. So, have you all seen any questions, Q&A question that you like to answer that has not been answered?
Yes, I will display some questions on the screen since Praveen sir has already answered few of them. Remaining, I'll try.
Great. So, for LSS, are they allowed to install BESS? Maybe I can take that. We are behind schedule, so let me take that. Yes, actually, the government's encouraged to install. It's just that when the developer do the maths, there's no incentive to do that. So we have not seen any of the BSS implementation or adoption even in LSS 4. Hopefully in LSS 5, they incentivize developer to go for BSS. Then this segment of the technology will be useful. Uh, so I hope that answer Mr. Mui questions.
Yeah,
Any other questions?
we can take one more if we can.
Probably
Oh,
this one is addressed to
yeah,
Pravin.
yeah.
Praveen.
A short answer because I already touched upon this and I replied Mr. Singh as well. Just the one of the key factor that drives us is to reduce the transport hassle, and by having local manufacturing, we also bring down the economies of scale for large scale projects, especially, and contributes to the socio-economic life of the local place where we are going to set up the factory. So these are the few factors that drive us. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, sir, for answering all the questions. And special thanks to Kong, sir. You did an excellent job again. Both the sessions were really mind blowing. And it was a pleasure to have you all. Thank you so much. And till then, bye from our end. And don't forget to join us tomorrow for more exciting and insightful discussions. And a small announcement for the audience that we will be having networking till 6 p.m. today. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Take
Thank
care.
you,
We'll
guys.
see
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Very
Thank you,
nice
guys.
catching up with you
Bye.
guys.
Take care.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Bye
All
bye.
right.
Bye bye, guys.
Bye, guys.